Today, we're looking at a purple ink by Callifolio Violet. Hi, I'm Adam, and I'm an ink guy. I get inks, test them, and share the results with you. There's timestamps down below so that if you are only interested in certain parts, you can skip around, but if you've got the time, please check out the entire video. Also, you can follow me over on Instagram, and if you like fountain pen ink reviews, I would invite you to subscribe. To make sure I have a range of experience with this ink, I do the writing samples. I then put the ink into this Pilot vanishing point with a medium nib, use it to write for a day, and to take my notes for this video. In order to standardize some of my writing samples, I always use Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper for all of the inks. I do use other papers, and some of those will show up later in the video. Now, let's look at the writing sample. I picked this ink up in sample form, so it came in a vial like this. And to keep my writing samples consistent, I use a Jinhao 159 with a Goulet 1.1 stub, a Jinhao X450 with a Goulet medium, and a Jinhao X750 with a Goulet extra fine. Let's take a look at the Clairfontaine. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is lighter than the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen, a very light peppering of dark letters. 8 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub with no feather spread, halo sheen. It does offer some shading, especially stands out when you look at the word quick. It's a very dark purple, very nice purple on the Q, U, beginning of I, and then very dark again. It means it can do it more than what we're getting. 10 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby of the extra fine, far left to far right, shows some color variation. The medium shows none, and that is largely what we got. Tomoe River. No bleeding, normal Tomoe River ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 13 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 17 seconds to dry. Scrubby for both show us no color variation, because there was none. And Clairfontaine with no bleeding, no ghosting. Did I say Clairfontaine? Rhodia. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, very light peppering of a few spots of shading throughout here. It is here, and it gives it a little bit of something in that character. 9 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 11 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby for the extra fine shows color variation, the medium shows none, and that's the way it worked in the writing. I agree with Vita that we can learn a lot by doing multiple chromatographies. The one on the left is done the way it's supposed to be done. I put a line of ink down and immediately put it into water for 10 to 15 seconds. And it's very interesting here because we haven't seen this with Callifolios where they bond so quickly with the filter paper. This one very much did. It's really got a dark line and not a lot of ink is pushing away from that. The one on the right I let dry for 10 minutes, and in 10 minutes you see that most all of that ink has really bonded with the filter paper in place and only a little bit of it's moving. And on both you can see the pencil line to see how far the water itself pushed up. I think Callifolio is going after a more permanent ink here. Resistance tests are done to see how well this ink can be expected to perform on the page and how hard it may be to clean from your pen. I let the smear dry for 3 days before testing it. Looking at the highlighter, there is a little bit of spreading and a little bit that goes on with some of this, but on the majority you can read it very easily, making it safe to use in a note-taking situation if you want to be able to go back and highlight. Water is having no effect on this ink, none whatsoever. Pen flush is largely having no effect. You do see above where a little bit of that ink was broken free and pushed away. Now when I cleaned my pen, I did need to use pen flush to get this completely out of the converter and the feed. The 1/3 bleach solution completely removes it from the paper, but I didn't need it to clean my pen. I test the viscosity or flow using a tilt test, which I'm going to link the video showing how I do that. For the inks I've tested, I have found an average viscosity of 2.5, with the realm of normal being from 2.1 to 2.9. Callifolio's Violet has a viscosity of 1.92, making it a wet ink. To find my average dry times, I use my writing samples done on Clairfontaine, Tomoe River, and Rhodia paper. I average those. Now for the inks I've tested, I have found an average dry time of 17 seconds, with a realm of normal being from 13 to 21 seconds. Callifolio's Violet has an average dry time of 11 seconds, making it a fast dry ink. Instead of finding inks that look like Callifolio's Violet, I would prefer to find an ink that complements its color on the page. I went for a nice orange, Diamine's Blaze Orange. The second writing sample is done on Apica CD, G. Lalo, and Franklin Christoph paper. Here we're looking at Apica paper, the Apica CD notebooks. We get no bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, and no shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, a very light peppering of some darker spots. Look at the word brown, starting darker, getting lighter. Quick, starting dark, getting lighter, getting darker. But the change is subtle. 6 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 8 seconds to dry. The scrubby of the extra fine shows some color variation. The medium shows none, and that's what we got in the writing. G. Lalo, it's a gray paper. It's just like night. I like to see what happens with the inks sometimes for different toned papers. No bleeding, no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen. The shading is definitely more pronounced here. It stands out much better. Look at the word fox, the word brown, the word quick, the word over. All over, much more noticeable, only 4 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 7 seconds to dry. Now the scrubby for both aren't showing any color variation, but the extra fine, it looks great. Last up is Franklin Christoph paper, with no bleeding and no ghosting. The 1.1 has no feather spread, halo sheen, or shade. The extra fine is quite a bit lighter than the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 3 seconds to dry. Medium is the same tone as the stub, with no feather spread, halo sheen, no shade, 6 seconds to dry. The scrubby for both, well, the scrubby for the extra fine does show a tiny bit of color variation. The medium shows none, and we didn't get it in either of them. And that's all that I have for writing samples. So what do I think of Callifolio Violet? This is a nice darker purple, but it's not so dark that it ever gives you the idea that it's black. Nowhere near it, just a nice dark purple. And it even manages to shade quite regularly, which makes it really nice. So what nib and pen give the best writing experience with this ink? I found that a drier writing broad really put down a great purple and brought out the shading that this ink has to offer. If you've enjoyed this video, remember, I like thumbs up, you like thumbs up, everybody likes thumbs up. Unless you didn't like it, then give me the thumbs down. Both are good. Thanks for watching.